Hi, everyone. And here we go, motivating you to live more creatively. I'm Rod Jones.
And I'm Angie Jones. Welcome to the Thought Row podcast. We invite you to subscribe wherever you listen, and we are available virtually anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
That's right. I know people that want to think more creatively will benefit from our weekly shows. What are we discussing today, Angie?
Well, today we're going to be speaking with Gavriella Abekassis. I love saying her name. It's so pretty. She helps artists market and sell their work.
That's going to be really interesting because that's something that every creative person thinks about every single day, and probably a lot of times during the day. How am I going to sell all this creative art I've created?
Right. Exactly.
Now, how about that quote for this week?
Okay, this is really a wonderful quote, and it is, "Learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them yourself."
Oh, I like that. Who said that?
Eleanor Roosevelt. And you know what, Rod? This totally reminds me of a story you told me of when I think you were a teenager and you had a job, and I think you were working at a gas station, and your boss turned to you and said, "I wish I could impart all of my knowledge, all my successes, all my, I don't want to say failures, but, maybe things that didn't go so well in their lives. And he wanted to impart them onto you." And I thought that was such a cool thing to say. And this quote really reminded me of that.
Well, you have that almost 100% right, with the exception of one thing.
What's that?
I was actually working in a grocery store at the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of your illustrious jobs, many illustrious jobs growing up. I love it.
It helped me get through my teen years. His name was Mr. Smith, and I remember that vividly to this very day. We were both down kind of on our knees using a grist pencil and putting prices on probably a can of peas or something, and we're sticking it on the shelf. And I remember he stopped for a second, and he got very kind of meditative and quiet. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he turned to me and he said, "I wish, Rod, that I could just somehow transfer all the things I've learned, all my experiences running a grocery store." And he was very knowledgeable. I mean, at the time, I'm pretty sure he'd been doing it for 30 years.
Oh, long time.
So he knew a lot. And I thought that was such a kind of an insightful, wonderful thing to tell a young lad. I, of course, did not want to tell him that I didn't see my future as running a grocery store, but it really stuck with me. Mm-hmm. It really made a huge impression, because so often in our lives, we all think, "Oh, I wish I could just teach you everything I learned about this or that and save you a lot of trials and tribulations that people often have to go through trying to figure things out." Now, you could argue that learning through mistakes is a better teacher. Some people swear by that, but it still would be kind of nice if people could just say, "Look, here it is. I'm transferring it to you. You don't have to go through all this, and you can become 10 times more successful than I have been." Yeah. It was really a nice thing for him to say. It certainly made an impression on me.
Oh, I think so. And I really loved that he said that to you. That was a really kind thing to say. Okay,
well, I have a question for you.
What is that?
It's a tough one, too. And you better not know it.
Well, we'll see.
How many people do you think there are in this world?
Oh, I actually know this. It's close to 7.9 billion people worldwide.
Okay, how did you know that?
I have my ways.
Well, here's my thought regarding that. If you do some simple math or you think about it, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if you could just find 1,000 people from that huge audience that you could sell your art to, let's say every month, or maybe even every 2 months or even 3 months, you would be a top selling artist. 1,000 people really doesn't look like a lot of people when you consider that there's
close to 7.9 billion people.
Well, you can see how that works out. It doesn't take a whole lot for you to become a successful selling artist when you consider you can tap into that mass.
So true, so true. And I've never really thought of it that way, actually, Rod. But the customer base in this world is really mammoth. And you only need to reach a few to become successful.
Yeah, it's really, it sounds daunting, especially, when you're trying to sell your art and you're going, oh man, how am I going to do it?
Yeah, reaching the people, I guess that's the thing.
So Angie's and mine's best advice, if you want to sell anything that you create, it's real simple, actually. You just need to meet a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
The more people you know, the greater opportunity you're going to have to sell your art. It just mathematically makes sense.
It does. It's really kind of a simple math equation, really. And fortunately, nowadays, social media allows you to build a major audience and get to know a lot of people in kind of a small space.
Well, when you meet somebody, we've all met people at a party or even a business meeting, and even in our jobs.
Yeah.
And then people will say, so what do you do for fun? Or what is your occupation if it's just a casual meeting somewhere? And if you tell people you're artist, invariably people will ask, oh, well, what do you paint? And that gives you a great entree into telling people about you, your art, and a little bit about your lifestyle. It's really amazing how engaging that kind of conversation can be.
You're so right, honey. I couldn't agree more.
We all get a little bit tired of promoting ourselves online, especially like on Instagram. But for some of us, it has allowed us to meet so many pretty amazing people. And we've been fortunate enough to have those people as guests on the Thought Row podcast.
I couldn't agree with you more. They're just really wonderful people. And I'm really thankful that we met them on Instagram so that we could share them with our audience on the podcast for Thought Row.
Yeah, and I want to go back and mention just one other simple thing. It's really kind of simple, that math equation that we are sharing with you.
Yeah.
Fortunately, nowadays, you have so many ways to build an audience with a computer and social media. And it's not just all about who you meet on the street, so to speak.
True.
But people that you can meet even in social situation.
So true.
Well, this brings me to the guest we're going to be speaking with today.
Oh, yeah. Her name is Gavriella Abekassis, and she helps artists market and sell their work online.
Now, I don't know any creative person that's not going to benefit from hearing what she has to say. She's a great guest and a great person.
So true. Hi, Gabriella. Welcome to the Thought Row podcast. Both Rod and I have been so excited and looking forward to chatting with you today.
Hi, Gabriella. This is Rod. It's so good to have you with us today. And I want you to know how much we really enjoy watching your IGTV posts. They're very informative, and it looks to me like an awful lot of people gain from hearing those.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hi, Angie and Rod. I'm really happy to be here and really grateful to be one of your guests. I feel really honored, and I really want to thank you for having me today and for being absolutely great people. And I hope that more people get to know you soon and get to know what you do, because that inspires me very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to give you our toughest question right off the bat. And I'm sure, I suspect you've been studying this all week long.
Yeah.
What did you have for breakfast, Gabriella?
Well. So usually I do not bake. But because we have been in lockdown for a few weeks, I did bake a little bit more. And last weekend, I made a brownie with peanut butter.
Oh.
So this has been, yes, it was yummy.
It sounds
So
delicious.
This has been our breakfast for yesterday, and this morning it's already over. There is no more brownie.
Oh.
So, yeah. And so, but I know that, I guess that you guys have salty breakfast. But we always have a sweet breakfast.
We don't typically have, if it is, it's jam and toast, I guess would be the sweetest part.
Right. Oh, okay.
So Angie's got a question for you.
Well, first of all, we met you through social media, and had been watching your IGTV and actually been on one of your IGTVs with an interview, which was so cool. And we know that you have such a wonderful and charming on-camera presence that I'm sure everyone enjoys watching.
You're so confident.
Yes, and you're such a confident presenter. How did you develop this style of interviewing?
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. And also, I think the time I had you on the IGTV program, it was absolutely wonderful. And so it's really interesting to see all the reactions to the IGTV, and that I think everyone is really excited to learn about other artists and what they do, and getting also to know a little bit more the business aspect of their life. So because it's also part of the life of the followers of my Instagram account. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think that's why, I can see the excitement, but I'm always very pleased, to see it. And so how I developed the style of interviewing. So I was thinking about that, and I think that, well, it might not be easy to go that route for other people, but the thing which really allowed me to feel more confident is to stop hoping to be perfect, because I know I can't. I'm very far from being perfect, and that really helped in a way. Not paying attention to being perfect helped to be more confident, and helped also to have friendly conversations on IGTV. So it gives a kind of a nice vibe as well, a friendly vibe.
You know, I love your answer. It's because everyone's so self-conscious about being perfect, and really we want to get to know you. We don't care about perfect.
Exactly. Something I really hope more people can learn about themselves, that no one is expecting anyone to be perfect.
Right.
It's just people. We're always looking forward to knowing who people are. And even if it's behind the screen, it's always important to remember that this is people talking to people. And so, really the stopping to hope to be perfect is really important.
So why did you decide to make the big move from France to London?
So that's a funny question. I'm always a bit embarrassed to answer that question, because I feel like it's not a very feminist reason. The reason I moved from France to London is that my partner got a job in London, and so we moved to London in 2018. And then when I arrived to London, I found a new job here myself.
Oh.
But that was the main reason. And also we both love to discover new cities and new countries. So we used to live in Amsterdam before London, and we're both French. So we like to travel as well.
So an adventure into London.
Yeah. We love Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I miss Amsterdam very much.
It's a wonderful city, that's for sure. Now, when you moved from France to England, to London, the food was very different. How was that for you?
I discovered what fried food really was.
I like it.
When I moved to London. I used to think I knew what it was, because my grandmother always cooks. She makes fried fish a lot, but it's not the same. Here is much more crispy, and I didn't know that could be possible, but more oily as well.
Yeah.
and that's something I really love. You know, there is a lot of fried chicken, fish and chips, so many fried stuff here. So this was the biggest change for me.
All delicious.
Yes, all delicious. Yes.
So
not a critic.
So Gabriella, as you kind of mentioned before, we understand that you've worked in art galleries. Tell us about that experience.
So I worked in art galleries for 5 years, and the first art gallery I worked with was in France, in Paris. And so when I arrived, I was studying art history at university at the same time when I started working in an art gallery, and I wanted to get experience. And the first gallery I worked in, there was not really a gallery. There was a team and there was a director, and the director decided to leave the gallery. So I was left alone in the gallery. And so I went from beginner to director in the space of a week. That wasn't really my title, but it was the responsibilities I had then. And so that was my first experience, and I really enjoyed it. That was absolutely amazing. And then I stayed there for 6 months. Then I moved to Amsterdam, where I worked in a very special gallery, and where I have amazing memories, which was called Hélène de Bruyn Project in Amsterdam. And there we tried to sell performance art, which is a format which is really complicated to sell. So yes, so from very early on, I learned that you can sell any kind of art if you are being very clear about how one can buy a specific media. And so that was my first approach to selling. Well, I had the approach to selling art from France already, but then that really opened my mind about selling art. And then I kept, I had a project which came from this experience of working in the art gallery, and I extended the project of selling performance art to more artists. So that was also a really nice project, which was still related to the gallery, but half independent as well.
You've worked at a lot of different galleries in different countries. How would you... Out of the countries that you've worked in galleries, what would you say the big difference is between them?
So, between France and the two other ones, France, there was no real team. So, that was a big difference. So it really is the evolution between the different galleries where I worked, where the difference between the teams and how much work we could delegate to other people in the gallery. For example, if there could be art technicians or not, or if the galleries could hang the exhibition themselves. And so that was the results in the exhibition hang were really different as well, based on if you hang the show yourself or if you delegate it to an art technician. So, and in London, there was much more, there was an approach to exhibitions and to selling art, which was maybe a bit more luxurious. And so the shows were a bit more professional, while in Amsterdam and in Paris, it was a bit more experimental and romantic and poetic.
Interesting. Angie.
Very interesting. So why did you decide that working in a gallery wasn't for you anymore? So
that was based on two different categories. So there was one, the reason I decided I didn't want to work in art galleries, the main reason was that I started to understand what I wanted to bring to the visual art industry. That was always a very big question for me. So, and by having conversation with people who were visiting the gallery, I actually realized that the visitors who were coming to visit the gallery the most were artists who were trying to understand how the community of the gallery works. And so that was, and at the same time, it was really difficult for them to enter the circle of the gallery, because galleries already have a lot of artists they're working with. So I understood the gap that there was kind of in the market, in the art market and in the visual art industry. But at the same time, artists were really trying their best to understand how to integrate a gallery, but at the same time, there was no space for them. So sorry, I wanted to bring what I could there. And to help artists.
A lot of books tell artists to hang out at galleries.
Yeah, they tell you to
hoping
do
that somebody is going to start a conversation with them, and then all of a sudden they could end up in the gallery. But you've dealt with a lot of artists when you worked in these galleries. What is the one thing that you think they all had in common?
Most artists I've talked with are so kind. And so I think the one thing they all had in common, is kindness. And definitely also a reason I wanted to work with artists, because artists share so much of the knowledge they have about life and the experience they have on life. And every single time I have a conversation with an artist, I end up being so inspired and feeling like I understand life a bit more and where I want to be a bit more. So that was really something I noticed when having all of these conversations with different artists, and the reason why I'm doing my job.
Well, you're doing a very good job at it.
Very good.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So when did you decide to develop your program to help creative people sell their art online?
So that's a funny story, actually.
Good. We're interested in funny stories.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was more than a year ago. My partner and I got engaged, and I was looking at places to learn how to organize a wedding. And I found this brides club. And I come in the bride club and I look at all of these women being part of this business, which was the club, and all of these women getting help through the format of the club. And I realized that that was a great format, and that what I lacked in my own field, in the art world, was having a community that I could really love, and that I could really feel that I could fit in. So the format of the club and the format of the membership, I really fell in love with it, and that's what inspired me to create the Artist Entrepreneur Club. So
nice.
So if we hadn't got engaged, my partner and I wouldn't have got the idea.
Oh, okay.
To create this community.
Two wonderful things came out of that.
At once.
Yeah.
So, Gabriella, what exactly is Out of the Cube?
So, you know how that sometimes we call art galleries wet cubes, and I was really getting my way out of the galleries. So that's how it became Out of the Cube. And at the same time, it's a game with the expression out of the box. Yeah. And the idea is that I think that it's really important to start talking about money openly with artists, and about business as well, without thinking that money is always bad. Actually, I believe the opposite, that money can be good and you can do good things with it. And I think that there is a big taboo about money in the art world, and which makes that artists feel really bad about it, while they and I want to help them feel better about it and get more of it as well. So
they don't feel like they're selling themselves out.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And also that they will get money only if they are approved by other organizations in the art world. And I think that can be very limiting when actually there are not enough organizations to approve everyone. And that even if someone thinks that one's art practice is not good enough, it doesn't mean that the art practice is not good. It just means that the person who thought that wasn't the right audience, and that we have to find the people who the artists are really helping with the art.
Well, there's one thing. So there's one thing, Gabriella, we all know for sure. Artists need to eat.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Completely. Yes, just like every other human being.
Exactly.
Exactly. They need food. So,
right.
And maybe fried food.
All the good fried food.
When I discover.
Well, you mentioned earlier about the Artist Entrepreneur Club. Tell us about it a little more.
So the Artist Entrepreneur Club is really, I don't want to sound, well, yes, I'm really proud of what this is, because of the people who are in it. And it's a group of amazing artists, because their art practice is good, but also because they are amazing people and very supportive people. And in the Artist Entrepreneur Club, everyone is supporting all of the other artists in the club with business advice, with feedback, sharing their experience. And in addition, I try to bring my help as well by giving business training. And I also invite business experts in the club so they can share their own expertise with the artists in the club, and we can all learn about business.
Oh, that's excellent.
That's
excellent.
Yeah.
You know, you may have answered this already, but I want to ask this question. You've interviewed quite a few artists. You've talked to a lot of creative people. What would be your number one suggestion for these artists?
For the interview, for the artists I have interviewed, or for artists in general?
All artists in general, because you've been exposed to a lot of artists where you're working in the galleries, as well as what people you've interviewed and people you've talked to on your IGTV. You've been exposed to a lot of artists, and artists, for the most part, they all have different personalities. But what would you say that you've learned? What's the one thing that stands out, or the suggestion that you would have?
One thing that stands out, I'm going to answer from a business point of view, is that the thing that stands really out when I talk business with an artist is when all of the marketing and all of the things that are published and posted online are not only about themselves, but they are about the people they are trying to help. And that's before they understand that they are that all of this content is for the people they are trying to help, is that first they have to understand that when they are selling their artworks, they're not just trying to put their artworks in somebody's house and leave and run away. It's not like that. You're not just leaving your artwork there. The artists are really helping people by selling them their artwork. So that's really one thing that stands out when the artist understands how they help people and how it translates into their marketing and into the way they present.
I think that's a great answer.
That's a good answer.
That's a good answer and very insightful. And I must say you would know because of your experience to date.
Right on.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it's helpful.
No, it is very helpful.
Really?
Well, my question is, what would you do to market your program and yourself as a brand if there were no social media?
I absolutely love this question because I'm actually, when I was looking for jobs in art galleries, I was really bad at applying online. And well, you could actually get a job by having a good social media presence. I have personally hired members of my team through their social media accounts, so that could work. But at the time, I didn't have that experience in social media, and applying online by just sending a CV and an email wasn't working for me. So what I used to do is to go door to door in art galleries, and that's what I would do if there was no social media. I would definitely go talk to people and see them. And because my audience is made of artists, I would go to studio visits, definitely.
Sounds good.
Good answer, Gabriella. Well, of course, there is social media. And what is your favorite thing about it?
The favorite thing about it has been at the moment I understood that it was about creating relationships And it was not just about showing who we are and posting things online. It's really about the connection between people. And the first time I was told, well, when you are going to go online, you really need to build relationships. I thought, gosh, this is going to take a while, because I know relationships take a while to build, but it's not true. This is not true. And if anyone is listening and thinking at the same time that, it's going to take a while to build a relationship, it goes quite fast to build strong relationships online. So that's my favorite thing about it.
And then, so what is the number one mistake people make when they're posting on social media?
Well, that would be not showing themselves. Mm-hmm. Well, sorry, I'm really repeating myself.
That's right. I wanted to make one comment on something you said on that last question.
Yeah.
It's been Angie's and my experience, and I suspect yours too. There's a lot of really wonderful people in this world. And it's interesting how for some, I don't know the magic behind it, but it seems like we all seem to find these kinds of people. And based on some of their posts or how they respond to your post or how genuine they are. Yeah. I mean, every once in a while you run into somebody who's got kind of a big ego and it's all about them.
Right.
But you know, you don't pay too much attention to those people. But the other people out there are very generous with their thoughts and their kindnesses.
Yeah, completely. It's really true that we seem to find each other, and this is why it's also very reassuring to know that, because so many people are afraid to meet bad people or to be to find rejection when they go online. But the truth is, only people who are your kind of people are going to react at all at what you're saying. Otherwise, they will just pass and go somewhere else. So you when you are online, you are always building a bubble of people who are like you and who will like you as well. So I really agree with you, and I have been very surprised by the amazing people I have met online and who I would have missed otherwise.
So true.
If
I wasn't online.
So true. Now,
including you guys.
We feel the same way about you, because it's just like, how would we meet normally in real life? It would be very difficult. So this is really cool when you can use social media to connect with people that you probably would never ever connect with.
Most likely sitting in a cafe.
Yeah.
Having a milky coffee,
right?
And you and your significant other are sitting at a table next to us, and we start a conversation. And you quickly learn that neither Angie nor I speak any French whatsoever.
Well, we like to speak with so kind American people as well. And so many people have to be annoying you with that. But the fact that you live in Twin Peaks and we have, you're in Twin Peaks, California, and we are big fans of the show Twin Peaks. So we feel really close to you in that way as well.
Well, that's very, very kind of you. Hey, so what have you learned personally that has helped you in developing your course when you've been interviewing these artists?
I guess what has helped me personally is really that I think it's ongoing work as well, is to understand that we cannot know everything and that we can't do everything as well. So what has really helped me developing my courses and my business and the interviews as well is to delegate.
Oh yeah.
It's really to delegate. As soon as I can, I delegate a bit more. I also learned to know a bit more about who I want to work with as well, within my team or when it's working with artists as well, because it's important that the personalities fit well as well. So that's two things I learned. It's important to make sure personalities fit well when we work together.
Okay, so you just mentioned that you like to delegate. Why don't you tell us what a typical day for Gabriella? What's a typical day for Gabriella?
Yeah.
You seem I have to say, you seem, because we see a lot of the effort that you put into what you're doing, and there's a tremendous amount of effort that goes into it. We can understand the amount of work and the challenges that you face. So what is a typical day for Gabriella?
So that's a question I'm asking myself, because, literally, because I'm really working on organizing my day in the way that I can do things I love every day, because there are always, in any business, there are things you love and things which are slightly less exciting. But a typical day in my life, so I wake up at 7 a.m. and then I have my breakfast, do a little bit of exercise, and I do meditate in the morning. That has become a habit as well, because that makes me happier. And then at the moment, I am separating my day between a moment which I really spend answering to all the emails, messages on social media, and the more you create relationships, the more they are.
For sure.
I'm sure you guys know as well. There is a lot of,
it can become overwhelming sometimes.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. And it's interesting how social media can really become a second mailbox. And I didn't expect that, but that's how really it becomes. And so that's half of my day. And then the other half is, and in this part of the day, I also include taking care of the Artist Entrepreneur Club and making sure I have answered every message in the club, and that all of the work is done for the club as well. All of the training is prepared. And the other part of my day is focused on developing the Artist Entrepreneur Club and Out of the Cube, and really thinking about the future and how we can grow and the next project.
Do you ever sleep?
Yeah. Do you ever sleep?
So, I do sleep. I wish I could sleep less because there are so many things to do. But I do need my 8 hours of sleep. And in the evening, I try to read.
Oh, good for you.
Because that's a great source for my content as well. I have to admit.
Right.
Reading is really, really great source.
It is.
For the
content. So you told us about your day, which sounds really eventful, really hectic, and a lot of things that you're doing, like you're wearing a lot of different hats.
But productive.
And super productive.
Yes. Yeah.
Applause for that. But what does your workspace look like when you, like, in your daily life?
What's your workspace like?
So how would you say it is? How do you imagine it?
Oh, gosh. I don't.
Well, we have to think that you have a computer and a cell phone.
Right.
And a mobile phone. Yeah. And maybe an iPad.
I do.
And a light.
I don't.
Oh, okay. And you have...
I have a light. I have a light.
A chair and a table.
Yeah. There is all of this, yes. But I was thinking that, it might be obvious, I don't know, but my workspace is really messy. So I have maybe 2 notebooks, my cup of coffee and my cup of tea and a glass of water, and my lights, which take a lot of place, which I don't like to remove all the time, and and the screen, and so that's what it works like. And in the background, I have nice artworks to look at, and on the side as well.
Oh, okay,
wonderful.
So I'm always looking at this as well.
Thank you.
You know, I know this affects me. I know it affects Angie, and I know it affects just about every single person that's creative. But on those days that you don't feel motivated, how do you get yourself back on track?
So one thing that I thought of early on in the process is that I noticed that there was this kind of feeling that was sometimes coming back, of feeling demotivated or of feeling anxious, or different things that can happen, different kind of feelings, or, imposter syndrome and things that. So, and I noticed that it was really coming back, and that there was kind of a circle, and that at the end I was feeling good again. So when that happens, I really try to remind myself that it's a temporary moment, and that I'm going to get back to my positive mind in a little while. But I do some things which really help getting quicker back to being positive is meditating and listening to mindset coaches, and also listening to people who are inspiring you and who have made you feel good in the past. So I try to listen to these people again, because I know they give me good vibes.
That's a great answer.
That's a wonderful
and
answer.
It's one that everybody that's listening to this should try to adopt. I think for the most part, people do.
Yeah.
It's certainly more fun to think positive than negatively. But you really zeroed in on that. That's great.
Right.
Well, that's really helping. And I am sure that you guys also, when I'm listening to you, I feel really good. So you are also one of my inspiration. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people listening to this podcast who are also having this podcast as a way to feel good as well. So that's really a really great thing that you're doing.
Well, thank you for saying that. It's mutual, though. We learn so much from talking to other people. We love when they share their stories. And speaking of shared stories, we've heard that you love to sing. What is your favorite music that you enjoy?
So I can't choose one. What I really love is deep voices. And so one of my favorite singers ever, I could quote three of them. So there is Edith Piaf. You guys know her, right? So there is Amy Winehouse and Ella Fitzgerald are three singers I really listen all the time. And any kind of deep voice, I could actually quote other younger, maybe, I mean, not younger, but alive singers. For example, I would recommend Joy Crooks, who is an amazing. So every deep voice, I am very sensible to them. So that's what I really enjoy.
Right. And so where do you like to sing the most?
So I can't, at the moment, I like to sing if I'm alone. So if I'm alone at home, I would sing in my living room. But last time I made a whole concert was in the bath. I have to be honest.
The bath.
Yeah, well, that's where it's got good acoustics.
Yeah, very
the
good
sound
acoustics.
in there is excellent.
But I used to, I mean, singing is kind of a tradition in my family. We used to sing at lunch during the weekend, and we were really trying to compete between each other. And we all think that we have the best voice. And I'm always thinking, because I know that one of my sisters and one brother didn't used to sing, actually. So now I'm really wondering what they were doing while we were all singing. But I don't know.
That's so fun. I love that.
So, Gabriella, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, actually, closer to you. So I think I will be, we are planning to move to the US.
Oh, cool.
But we don't know, when, we don't know how yet. But that's our next place. And then I really hope that by then, the Artist Entrepreneur Club will have, maybe a bit bigger.
Oh, sure.
Well. I'm sure.
Well, it's worldwide. So there's no shortage of audiences throughout the entire world.
Right on.
And we are also much more connected now because of social media. So I guess the next question would be, what do you want to be most remembered by? What do you want people to remember about Gabriella the most?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because I guess you have to say what's really deeply in your mind, and that's difficult to admit. But I guess what I would like to be remembered by is for the idea that you can mix money, art, and still be a good person.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, good answer.
And it's okay.
Yeah, that's
just if I can help more people with that would be amazing.
A good one. That's a great one, actually. That's quite good.
Now, I've been asking a question now for, I don't know, a couple of episodes, and I'm always interested in the answer that people give. And so this is the question, Gabriella. If you could sit on a park bench and chat with anyone from the past, who would it be?
So I had prepared another answer, but I just thought of the real person I would really like to sit with and chat, who would be Jane Austen, the author of Pride and Prejudice, Emma. And do you know the movie Pride and Prejudice?
So Jane Austen. Jane Austen.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Jane Austen, Yeah, so I'm a big fan of historical movies. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm really into them, and so.
Well, you could talk.
So I would love.
You could talk her into becoming a member of your entrepreneurs club.
Truth.
Oh yes. Well, she would be most welcome.
I guess we're at the point where we kind of wind this down. Gabriella, you've shared a lot of information today, and I know Angie and I know our listeners are going to really enjoy all of your thoughts and your ideas and your insights. You're a lovely person, and we're so thankful that we had the opportunity to chat with you.
Well, I just wanted to thank you so much because that's really an honor to be on your podcast. And I think you've started it now a few weeks or months ago. And I really hope that it keeps getting more and more interest because it's really an exciting one. And I really love how inclusive this is. So I'm really all for you, rooting
You're
for
very,
you.
very kind.
You're very kind of you to say that. And also for everyone out there, just letting you know, if you want to know more about Gavriella Abekassis and her programs, we will have the links in the show notes. And also under the show guest tab on the ThoughtRowPodcast.com website. So everyone can listen and visit Gabriella's website and learn more about her and connect with her on social media.
Yeah, and if you're on Instagram, be sure and watch and listen to her IGTV programs. They're well worth it. And I also want to say, while you're there, follow her.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
well, thank you. And I guess it's
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
It's bye for now.
Bye.
I'm really glad you tuned in today. We hope you enjoyed the thoughts and ideas we shared with you.
We post a new podcast every week, so remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. So it's bye for now from my husband Rod and I, wishing everyone a great day.